The Garden of Eden, lush, tranquil. A paradise where Adam and Eve walked with God. They were innocent, they were pure. Their lives were blissful, but this harmony was not to last. Temptation slithered into their world. The serpent, cunning and deceitful, whispered doubts about God's command. It questioned the forbidden fruit. Curiosity flickered in Eve's eyes. They were warned. They knew the consequences, yet the lure of the forbidden proved too strong. With a bite, they shattered the tranquility. Paradise was lost. The world changed in that moment. Innocence died, shame blossomed. They had disobeyed. God's trust was broken. The serpent's words were poison. They twisted God's words, sowing seeds of doubt. Eve, captivated by the serpent's cunning, saw the fruit differently. It appeared desirable. It promised knowledge. She took a bite. The taste was bittersweet. The knowledge gained, a heavy burden. Adam, seeing Eve's transgression, made a choice. He chose her. He chose the fruit. Their eyes opened. They saw their nakedness. Shame washed over them. They hid from God's presence. Fear gripped their hearts. The consequences of their actions awaited. The harmony of Eden was shattered. The serpent's deception had borne fruit. Sin had entered the world, forever changing the destiny of humankind. God called to them. His voice echoed with sorrow. They confessed their transgression, their voices filled with shame. The consequences were swift. The serpent was cursed. The ground was cursed. Pain entered the world. Eve was to endure pain in childbirth. Adam was to toil on the cursed land. Their paradise was lost. The gates of Eden closed behind them. The world outside was harsh. Banished from paradise, they faced an uncertain future. The weight of their sin was heavy. The world outside Eden was unforgiving. It was the beginning of their journey as humans, burdened by sin. They were no longer innocent. They had tasted knowledge and disobedience. Life outside Eden was a stark reminder of their transgression. They carried the heavy burden of their sin. Section 4. A world tainted, the shadow of sin. The consequences of Adam and Eve's sin resonated beyond Eden. Their disobedience set off a chain reaction that would forever alter the fabric of the world. The once vibrant and lush landscapes began to wither, and the skies, once clear and bright, turned dark and foreboding. The world, once pristine, felt the impact. Thorns and thistles grew, choking the life out of fertile fields. The ground, which had been a source of sustenance, now required toil and sweat to yield its bounty. The very earth seemed to groan under the weight of sin. Animals turned on each other. The harmony that once existed in the animal kingdom was shattered. Predators and prey, once living in a delicate balance, now engaged in a brutal struggle for survival. The natural order was upended, and violence became a part of life. Death cast its long shadow. The inevitability of mortality became a stark reality for all living beings. The spectre of death loomed large, a constant reminder of the fall from grace. Graves dotted the landscape, each one a testament to the fragility of life. The harmony of creation was disrupted. The once orderly and beautiful world descended into chaos. Forests, once teeming with life, became places of disarray. Fallen branches and decaying leaves littered the ground, symbolizing the brokenness of creation. The stain of sin spread like a virus. It permeated every aspect of existence, corrupting and defiling. Darkness encroached upon the light, and the purity of creation was tainted. The world was no longer a reflection of divine perfection. Mankind, created in God's image, was now flawed. The divine likeness was marred by sin. Human beings, once the crown of creation, now bore the marks of their rebellion. Their reflections in the water were distorted, a metaphor for their inner corruption. The potential for goodness remained, but it was now intertwined with the capacity for evil. Humanity was a paradox, capable of great love and great hatred. The struggle between light and darkness played out in every heart, a constant battle for the soul. Cain and Abel, Adam and Eve's children, offered sacrifices to God. Their offerings were a reflection of their hearts. Abel's sacrifice was accepted, but Cain's was not. This rejection sowed the seeds of jealousy and resentment in Cain's heart. Cain, consumed by jealousy, murdered his own brother, the first murder. This act of violence was a harbinger of the bloodshed that would follow. It marked the beginning of a long history of human conflict and strife. The consequences of sin echoed through generations. The legacy of that first act of disobedience was passed down from parent to child. Each generation inherited the burden of sin, and the world grew darker with each passing century. The world descended further into darkness. Cities and villages alike were plagued by violence, greed, and wickedness. The moral decay of humanity was evident in every corner of the earth. The light of goodness was overshadowed by the darkness of sin. Violence, greed, and wickedness became commonplace. The history of humanity was written in blood. Wars, conflicts, and acts of cruelty were the norm. The marketplace, once a place of trade and community, became a battleground for power and wealth. Each generation inherited the legacy of sin. The shadow of the original transgression loomed over every family, every community. The innocence of childhood was quickly overshadowed by the harsh realities of a fallen world. The world was a far cry from the paradise of Eden. The beauty and perfection of the original creation were but a distant memory. The lush garden had given way to a desolate wasteland, a stark reminder of what had been lost. Section 5. The Serpent's Legacy. Generations of wickedness. Generations passed, and the world saw the rise and fall of many civilizations. The descendants of Adam and Eve multiplied, spreading across the earth, establishing communities and building cities. Yet with each passing generation, the shadow of the original sin loomed large over humanity. The descendants of Adam and Eve multiplied, filling the earth with their progeny. They built homes, cultivated lands, and formed societies. But as they grew in number, so did their transgressions. But the legacy of sin continued. The darkness that had entered the world through the first act of disobedience spread like a disease, infecting the hearts and minds of men and women alike. The once pure and untainted creation was now marred by corruption and evil. The world spiraled further into wickedness. Cities became hotbeds of vice and immorality. Markets were filled with deceit, and the streets echoed with the cries of the oppressed. Violence and chaos reigned supreme, and the moral fabric of society was torn asunder. Evil took root and flourished. Humanity strayed from God, choosing paths of darkness over the light. The teachings of righteousness were forgotten, and the people reveled in their sinful ways, blind to the consequences of their actions. The stories of the Bible spoke of giants walking the earth. These Nephilim, born of the union between the sons of God and the daughters of men, were mighty and renowned. Yet their presence only added to the turmoil, as they too were ensnared by the pervasive wickedness. Men and women were consumed by greed, lust, and violence. The pursuit of wealth and power overshadowed the virtues of compassion and humility. Taverns and marketplaces became arenas of debauchery where the basest of human instincts were on full display. The world was a canvas of depravity, a testament to the enduring power of sin. Every corner of the earth bore witness to acts of moral decay, and the once beautiful creation was now a desolate wasteland of iniquity. God looked down on his creation and despaired. The sight of his beloved children, lost and corrupted, filled him with profound sorrow. He had given them free will, and they'd chosen a path that led them away from his love and guidance. His heart ached for the people he had created. Their wickedness grieved him deeply, for he had envisioned a world of harmony and righteousness. Instead, he saw a world drowning in sin, with souls lost to the darkness. The world was drowning in sin. The weight of humanity's transgressions was too great to bear, and the earth groaned under the burden of its inhabitants' iniquities. A profound sadness filled him as he contemplated the fate of his creation. A profound sadness filled him. The time had come for a reckoning. The earth was corrupted beyond redemption, and a divine intervention was necessary to cleanse it of its impurities. The time had come for a reckoning. The earth was corrupted. The once sacred temples lay in ruins, and the lands were desolate. Humanity had turned its back on its creator, and the consequences of their actions were inevitable. Mankind had abandoned its creator. The altars were empty, and the prayers had ceased. The divine connection was severed, and the people wandered aimlessly, lost in their own wickedness. God, in his infinite sorrow, decided to cleanse the earth. The decision was not made lightly, for his love for his creation was boundless. Yet the need for purification was undeniable. A great flood would wash away the wickedness. The waters would rise, covering the earth, and the sins of humanity would be swept away, making way for a new beginning, a chance for redemption. Section 6. Divine Judgment, the Flood Unleashed. God's heart was heavy. The world had become a place of corruption and violence, far removed from the harmony he had intended. The Creator looked upon his creation with sorrow, seeing the wickedness that had spread like a plague. The weight of mankind's sin pressed down upon him, a burden too great to bear. The decision was made, a flood, a cataclysmic event to purge the earth of its iniquities. This was not a decision made lightly, but one born out of necessity. The world needed a reset, a chance to start anew. The flood would be both a punishment and a cleansing, a way to wash away the sins of humanity and give the world a fresh beginning. The skies darkened, and the heavens prepared to unleash their fury. The decision was final. A deluge was imminent. The storm clouds gathered, heavy with the weight of impending judgment. Lightning flashed across the sky, a harbinger of the chaos to come. A deluge to cleanse the world. A new beginning. Torrential rains would fall and the floodwaters would rise, covering the earth. This was the divine plan, a necessary step to restore balance and purity to a world gone astray. He spoke to Noah, a righteous man. Among the corrupt and the wicked, Noah stood out for his faith and righteousness. God saw in him a glimmer of hope, a man who could be trusted to carry out his will. Build an ark, God commanded. This ark would be a sanctuary, a vessel to preserve life amidst the coming destruction. Noah, obedient and faithful, set to work immediately, following God's instructions to the letter, a vessel to weather the storm. The ark was massive, built to withstand the fury of the floodwaters. It was a labor of love and faith, constructed with care and precision, a sanctuary for Noah's family and the creatures of the earth. Pairs of every kind of animal were brought aboard, ensuring the survival of each species. Noah's family, too, would be saved, a remnant of humanity to repopulate the earth. The earth trembled as the heavens opened. The ground shook, and the skies unleashed their wrath. It was a moment of divine power, a display of the Creator's might. Rain lashed down with a fury never before seen. The heavens poured forth their waters, and the earth was inundated. The storm was relentless, a testament to the severity of the judgment. The waters rose, swallowing the land. Valleys and mountains alike were submerged, and the world as it was known disappeared beneath the waves. The wicked were swept away. Those who had turned their backs on righteousness found no refuge. The floodwaters carried them off, a grim reminder of the consequences of their actions. Their cries for mercy lost in the roar of the flood. The sound of the deluge drowned out their pleas, and there was no escape from the divine judgment. For 40 days and 40 nights, the deluge raged. The rain did not cease, and the waters continued to rise. It was a period of unrelenting chaos, a time of great trial and tribulation. The world was consumed by water. The landscape was unrecognizable, transformed into a vast, endless sea. All that had once been was now submerged, lost beneath the floodwaters. Only the ark, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos, remained afloat. The earth was cleansed. The ark, carrying the promise of a new beginning, drifted on the waters. It was a symbol of survival and renewal, a testament to the enduring power of faith and obedience.